There is something that happens in the first 5 seconds. Before the handshake, before the introduction, before the first word is spoken. Something passes between two human beings that the conscious mind cannot name, but the nervous system processes with perfect accuracy. You have felt it. You have walked into a room and felt the presence of a particular person before you looked at them. You have sat across from someone and felt inexplicably either at ease or on edge. That experience has a biological explanation, and it changes everything about how you understand male magnetism. The word aura belongs to spiritual traditions that predate modern science by thousands of years. Across Vedic philosophy, Taoist tradition, Japanese martial culture, and indigenous wisdom systems on every continent, the concept of a vital male energy that can be cultivated or depleted is central. Prana, chi, ki, orenda. Different words, same territory. The invisible but palpable force that distinguishes a man who has preserved his energy from a man who has scattered it. Modern biology did not invent this concept, it simply found the mechanism behind it. The mechanism begins in the body's electromagnetic field. The human heart generates an electromagnetic field measurable up to several feet from the body. This field varies in its coherence, its regularity and strength, based on the autonomic nervous system state of the individual. Men in high vagal tone, with regulated cortisol and optimized testosterone, generate measurably more coherent electromagnetic fields than men in chronic stress and hormonal depletion. The people near you are not imagining the difference. Their bodies are literally detecting it. Heart rate variability, the beat-to-beat variation in your cardiac rhythm, is the most sensitive single-point biomarker for autonomic nervous system health. High HRV correlates with parasympathetic dominance, the state of the nervous system that enables genuine calm, social engagement, creativity, and the kind of grounded presence that people describe as an aura. Low HRV, produced by chronic cortisol elevation and dopaminergic disruption, produces the opposite: anxious, effortful, slightly desperate, the opposite of magnetic. The chemical dimension of the aura is equally real. Your sweat glands, your skin, your breath, and the trace compounds in your immediate atmosphere all carry information about your biological state. Androstenedione, a testosterone metabolite present in male sweat, has been shown in controlled studies to alter mood and attention in women who are exposed to it, without the women being aware of the compound or its source. The biological broadcast is constant. The question is only what it is broadcasting and to whom. A man who has been preserving his vital energy for 30 days or more carries a different chemical signature than a man who has been cycling through depletion. This is not seduction theory, this is published endocrinology. The eye contact dimension of the aura is perhaps the most immediate and the most devastating when it is absent. The human gaze is the most powerful social signaling tool in the animal kingdom. It communicates threat, submission, interest, certainty, fear, and power, all in the same fraction of a second. All without a word. A retained man's gaze carries a quality that is simultaneously calm and intense, present without grasping, interested without needing, steady without aggression. That gaze is not practiced. It is produced by a particular neurological state. The neurological state that produces that gaze is one of dopaminergic stability. When the reward system is not in a constant cycle of seeking, the eyes stop scanning with hunger and start resting with presence. The difference between scanning eyes and present eyes is immediately visible to every human observer, because reading eye movement is one of the brain's oldest and most sophisticated social programs. Eyes that are still and present signal resource and safety. Eyes that scan constantly signal scarcity and need. The gaze is the aura made visible. Voice carries the aura into sound. The resonance, the pace, the certainty, and the breath support behind a man's voice are all direct outputs of his nervous system state and hormonal environment. A man in parasympathetic dominance, high vagal tone, low cortisol, optimized testosterone, speaks from a deeper physical center. His voice does not rise at the end of statements as though seeking confirmation. His pace does not accelerate under social pressure. His silence between sentences is comfortable rather than anxious. The voice broadcasts the aura in every syllable. Movement carries the aura into space. The choreography of a man's movement through an environment, the pace of his walk, the economy of his gestures, the stillness of his body when he is not moving, tells a complete hormonal story. High androgen, low cortisol men move with an effortless economy that communicates competence without effort. Every unnecessary movement, every fidget, every anxious adjustment of clothing or hair is a biological tell. Not because these movements are inherently weak, but because they are the physical output of a nervous system that is not at rest. The aura is, in its simplest biological description, the sum of your body's coherent output. Electromagnetic, chemical, visual, acoustic, and kinetic, all broadcasting the same message simultaneously. When that message is coherent, when the heart coherence, the androstenone, the eye quality, the voice, and the movement all say the same thing, the effect is experienced as an aura. When they are incoherent, when some signals are strong and others contradictory, the effect is the unsettled feeling of being near someone who is off in a way you cannot articulate. The men of ancient warrior traditions understood this without needing it explained. The samurai concept of ki, the life force that distinguishes the master warrior from the technically proficient one, was understood to be cultivated through discipline, preserved through practice, and lost through dissipation. The practitioners of brahmacharya in Vedic tradition understood seminal retention as the foundation of ojas, the vital essence that produces radiance, intelligence, and physical power. These were not metaphors. They were observations of biological reality made without the language of endocrinology. Modern men have been given the language of endocrinology but lost the discipline of the tradition. We can explain testosterone, DHT, LH, cortisol, HRV, and dopamine baselines with precision. But we have been trained to treat the biological cycle of depletion as normal, neutral, and harmless, to see it as recreation rather than as a direct intervention in the biological system that generates presence, power, and magnetism. The ancient tradition saw more clearly, if less technically, than modern culture allows. Your aura is your biological state made broadcast. It is not something you project, it is something you generate. You cannot project strength you do not have. You cannot radiate calm you do not feel. The question you are now sitting with, the question this video has been building toward, is simple. What have you been broadcasting? Not in the polished moments when you are presenting your best self, in the ordinary moments, in the quiet rooms, in the interactions that seem too small to matter, because the aura is not built in the extraordinary moments, it is built in the sum of the ordinary ones. Every day of retention is a day your heart coherence increases, your chemical broadcast shifts, your eye quality deepens, your voice settles, your movement becomes more economical. Every day compounds on the last, and after enough days, the sum of those quiet, invisible biological improvements crosses a threshold, and people begin to sense it before they meet you, feel it before you speak, and remember it long after you have gone. That threshold is not a destination. It is a direction. The direction is forward, always compounding, always building toward a version of you whose presence is so coherent and so full that it requires no announcement, no performance, no management. It simply is. And the world around you simply responds. Think of the people who love you most. Think of what they would feel if the man they love most fully became himself. If the fog lifted, if the power consolidated, if the presence they sense beneath the depletion finally surfaced and stayed. What would that give them? What would it give your children, watching a man be fully, powerfully himself every day? What would it give the world that needs men like that so desperately? This biological coherence extends into the professional realm. Leadership is not a set of learned behaviors. It is a state of being that is detected by those around you. When a man enters a boardroom with a stable dopamine system and high vagal tone, the room settles. Conversely, a leader in chronic depletion projects an aura of instability. Subordinates detect the micro-fidgets, the scanning eyes, and the lack of vocal resonance as signals of unreliability. The professional cost of biological scattering is immeasurable. To maintain this state, the biological foundations must be protected. Deep restorative sleep is the laboratory where heart rate variability is built. Without it, the nervous system remains in a state of low-level alarm. Nutrition acts as the raw material for the chemical broadcast. The building blocks of testosterone and the precursors to neurotransmitters are derived from the molecules you consume. A man who respects his broadcast respects his body as the transmitter. The peak expression of the aura is found in the state of flow. When a man is completely immersed in a task that challenges his skill, his brain enters a unique state of coherence. The self-consciousness that produces social friction evaporates. Flow is the ultimate magnetic state because it is entirely unself-conscious. It is the aura operating at its maximum frequency, where the internal biological harmony is so strong that it pulls the surrounding environment into its orbit. People are drawn to men in flow because they are witnessing a human being operating at full capacity. This is the magnetic pull of a man who has unified his internal state with his external action. History remembers men who mastered this coherence. Whether in the stoic resolve of a philosopher king or the focused intensity of a Renaissance master, the aura was their defining attribute. They were not born with it. They cultivated it. Cultivation requires the rejection of the modern culture of constant dissipation. It requires the discipline to value the long-term biological broadcast over the short-term dopaminergic spike. This is the path of the modern warrior. This path provides an internal compass. When your biological state is coherent, your intuition becomes a reliable guide. You no longer need to look outside for direction because the signal you are generating is clear. In every interaction, your coherence sets the tone. You become the anchor in the storm, the one who remains regulated when others are in chaos. This is the service a magnetic man provides to his community. It is a quiet strength. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. It doesn't need to perform to be noticed. It is simply there, as undeniable as the law of gravity. This is the result of true preservation. Play the long game. The biological shifts of the first few days are just the beginning. The real power comes in the months and years of compounding coherence. The man you are building is a masterpiece. Your aura also acts as a shield. It repels the chaotic energy of the world and attracts the opportunities and individuals that resonate with your high-frequency state. You become a magnet for the life you are meant to lead. Integrate these truths. Let the biological understanding anchor your practice. You are not just retaining energy, you are generating a new way of being. The aura is your birthright. Reclaim it. If this video reached something in you today, if the word aura suddenly made biological sense and biological sense suddenly felt personal, please like this video and share it with a man you believe in. Subscribe for more of this kind of content. And if this genuinely moved you in a way that feels worth acknowledging, please hit the thanks button. The aura you are building is real. The man you are becoming is already in motion, and the world is waiting.